Good morning. It is September 26th, 2025. I haven't recorded in a couple days. I'm so sorry. Things have gotten very busy here lately. Um, so I haven't been able to record my daily updates. But yeah, we'll take this opportunity now to um, see what's going on, right? So let's jump to where we last left off here. Last we left off, we were in this section right over here. This is where we were. And we were talking about getting over this line here. And if it can hook onto this, then, hopefully, I would be looking for it to go a lot higher than that. That's what I was hoping for. But um, I also said that if we do not get over this area and hook on, then we're going to go lower, right? So possibly come take out, I believe it was like this wick or something. I think it was somewhere around there to kind of like test the lows again, right? So yeah, it did that. And some other funny things have happened actually. And while Bitcoin did look like it came around, it didn't stick its landing. You could see like this candle here didn't stick. But we got like some two conflicting messages almost. While Bitcoin did feel like it was starting to grab some strength on the lower time frame, like so. See, we came over and we started to grab onto it. Um, yeah, it just took a turn. But interestingly enough, Ethereum, on the other hand, really took this major spill down. And let's go take a look over at Ethereum real quick so you could see exactly what I'm talking about here. Is this a chart? Yes, this is the chart right over here. So Ethereum never got over that line that we were looking for. We were looking at this line right over here, saying that if it can get over top of this line, then yeah, we have a fighting chance to come back up and revisit this middle of the line here. But we didn't. And you can see it was like rejected over and over and over again. We started to lose a little bit of strength. And then this was kind of like the final breakdown. But as this was doing that, Bitcoin was running up. And this is a really good example to show you as far as like this Bitcoin dominance goes. Here's what Bitcoin dominance did in the past couple days. Not only did it break up to the top and it started getting a little bit slumpy, but it actually grew some strength, right? And we are now running up into this order block right over here. This is the first line of resistance, right? In order for Bitcoin dominance to take over, it has to come up and over and out, right? So, yeah, but on the other hand, take a look at what happened to Ethereum dominance. Now, Ethereum dominance looked like it was going to grab some strength here. Like it started to have like a nice little fight. But again, it did exactly the same thing that Ethereum did. It started to lose its strength, but then it took like this major drop, right? To the bottom of the bounce zone. Now, if you watch my video before, I said that, we can possibly hit this and kind of retest to kind of break out. But if we don't, we can come down here and then have a bounce. Something like that. Actually, I believe I started with we can come down here because I was talking about mitigation and then pop up here. So that's what I would like to see, because Ethereum took a very hard hit. And here, let's just kind of like measure this, right? From here to here, we've got almost a 10% drop, right? But that also includes, it doesn't include this drop right here, which was another 10% drop. And it also doesn't include this drop over here because it's on this complete downtrend, which again was about 8%. So we've almost lost about 30% of Ethereum from the time that we are right over here to, yeah, to its all-time high, right? Right over here. It's about a 30% drop all the way around. Now, there could be more of a drop to come around. And yeah, let's kind of explore that, right? And let's talk about kind of like how this is all set up here. So first of all, let's go into the section that's kind of gross. If I pull this over, this was the other range that we had that it was stuck in for a while. In fact, let me clean up some of this stuff so that you could see it a little bit better, right? I'm going to get rid of this one here and this here, and we could knock this down. Just like that, so we clean up this section. I like to leave my my trades actually on my chart so that I can see and reference them over time, like, you know, what I did, what I didn't do. Let's see here. So that'll work. Okay, let's just clean that up a little bit. Sorry about that. Now, here's the thing. See these 2 points that are up here? Let me point at them. See these 2 points, 1, 2, 3. We've got this manipulation move right here, right? I consider that manipulation. And the same thing over here. This is manipulation. This is the range, right? And this is something that I've been showing you this whole time, right? And how it works, right? So consolidation, manipulation, and then continuation, right? And that's what happened right over here. So here's the thing. Look at where we are right now. Look at exactly where this hit. Like almost to the T. Right? Right in the bottom over here. Right there. So let me knock this down. This is So you could see, if I look to the left, you can actually see the area that we're in, right? And again, if I were to pull this over to the side here, you could see like this. These are the tops right over here. And what we can do is we can actually look a little bit further, right? So let's look a little bit further to the left so we can get a good idea as to what these lines really are. So you see this red line here? This red line, I believe, is the line in the sand for this area, right? So if I were to take this and pull this over, this one right here, if I were to pull this over, you can see we're dealing kind of like with the tops. In fact, I can move this up just a little bit. So, or actually, let me move it over. So we got this top, that top. Here it looks like it tried to grab some support. This was a rejection here. And here's this line right here. Now it's important. I want to show you exactly how to look to the left, because all of this stuff is historical, right? Historical support and resistance. And you can see how it's moving based off of there. So now what's important here is this. If I were to take this and I'm going to encompass this kind of whole section, right? This is the top right here. I'm going to include that wick right there. We are at the middle of this range, of this block right here. We're in the middle of it. We've surpassed it a bit with this wick, but we are kind of in the middle. So here's the thing. If we don't find any support on this side here, if we do not get any support and we do drop past this line, then I believe we're coming down into this section right over here to the early 3000s, let's say, that kind of area, right? So I'm hoping that because we have this 1, 2, 3 drops, and again, like, one thing that happens in the charts all the time is that everything kind of plays into threes of some sort, like it just does, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3 drops. I'm hoping that we get a little bit of a relief, and this is really the area that I'm looking for Ethereum. Now I'm going off of Ethereum instead of Bitcoin right now because this drop was just so great, right? So if we can find some support here just a little bit, maybe we can move up into this spot right here. And then this is the telling area. So we've got two. One, this is going to be some kind of resistance right over here, right? But the other thing is this is some kind of support. So if we can come up here, you know, get everyone excited about going again, maybe if we don't get over this line, we start to break a lot lower, right? Because now we've got this kind of like really interesting structure of, you know, 3 hits on the top, and it's starting to look like it might be some kind of head and shoulders pattern, right? So what I'm hoping for today is I'm hoping that we get some kind of strength in this area and we move up to kind of tap this zone, right? And it's becoming kind of mixed signals at this point, right? Because right now it really does feel like we're going to zero. And at that point, your ability should be, like your senses should be completely heightened at this point, right? Because when it's going to zero, that's when you'll be able to make some good money, right? These dips are pretty hard. And yeah, so let's go take a look at Bitcoin one more time. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to get rid of all of these things here, and I want to take a look at the monthly chart for a second, right? So the monthly chart on September, in September, usually it's a down month. And it says it. So what I'll do is, let's see, I will mark out all of the Septembers here. So let's go. September. September. Okay. And here we go. Okay, great. Let me just grab a couple more. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at this, because this is important, because even though it does feel like it's going to zero and man, we got a spill and everything like that. Notice here, we've got a down candle. We've got a pop candle. We got down candle. We got down candle, right? This right here is a down candle from where it is. And then we've got this right over here, right? Now, the important thing is not that it's a down candle, because all of September we were like this and then it dropped down. It's kind of like, it feels like a self whatever, initiating prophecy of some sort, right? Excuse me. What's important to kind of notice is this. What happens after there's a down candle on September, right? After. Look at what the chart does. Consolidates, moves up. Next September. Moves up. Next September. Moves up. So, let's include this one. September. And this was a down, this ended up being a down year, right? This is when we hit the bear market, right? But if you notice, what's happening here is that the September, even though it's a down month, we've got this upside that's going. And it's really starting to feel like we're going to do some kind of crazy move up. So even though it did take a pretty hardcore turn down, I'm feeling pretty optimistic for what's around the future, right? Because even all of these things, let me knock this out here. Even all of these, if you were to take a look at kind of like where we're at, even on Ethereum, we are retesting the zone of the last high that it was in 2004, right? So if this gets some kind of strength, then yeah, I definitely feel like we're going up. But if we do not go up from here, then we will come down to this section for sure, right? Not for sure, but this is the section I would be looking for. The reason why is because there's this starts to become some kind of range, right? Just like this. And again, it just kind of like follows the same kind of pattern, right? Consolidation, manipulation, manipulation. We come back in here and then continuation or continuation. So I'm feeling pretty hopeful for what we've got going on here, right? And even though we took a spill, um, you know, there is some kind of relief that happens. Now, Bitcoin on the monthly chart is looking still, it's looking quite good, right? If this was a trend line right over here, we're not quite, it doesn't quite feel like we've lost that momentum yet. So maybe we've got one more leg up, you know? So that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some kind of relief today of some sort, and I'm still in a long from Bitcoin, believe it or not. Let me see here. Let me go to here. Let's go. Let's zoom in. Let's go to 12 hours so we can see everything. So this was my long that I took before. I'm still in that long right now. And we're still kind of at the edge for me on where we are, right? Because honestly, we even though we are going down, right? We are in a downtrend here and here. It doesn't mean that we can't come up one more time, right? So I'm hoping for just kind of a little bit of a relief today. The other thing is, even if we do get down to over here, this section right here, we still haven't really, like, the only thing we did was change our character on this area. We haven't completely gone into a downtrend, like a bear market. We would need to get below this to start really trending down hardcore, right? So we are still kind of in this range. So just remember this. We are still in this range, you know, until, well, we're kind of out of the range now. We're back in this range. But if we were to come back and revisit the range down below, like right over here, right? Then we've got this last part to kind of pop, because on the larger time frames, you could see, like, we haven't really changed our character yet. We haven't. We're just not there yet. We're just still kind of in this channel. So even though we here and this created a lower low, right? This created a lower high, right? Lower high. This created a lower high, and this created a lower high, but it still was above the range. It was still above where we were. So we want to make sure that we kind of stay above this zone, right? But if we do come back to here, this very well could be kind of our fighting chance to go back into a bear market, you know? So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. Hopefully, yeah, we see something. We'll see. We're kind of at that critical point right over here. Last thing I want to do is I want to take a look over at the stock market, right? So let's go take a look at the stock market, the S&P 500, and see what it did over the past couple days. And yeah, we finally broke that trend line, right? We're on the 2-day here. Yep, we broke this trend line right over here. We're right back into the channel. So just like a range, you've got manipulation on both sides, right? So now comes the continuation part. Now we see which way it's going to choose, and that's which way it's going to go. So we've got consolidation on this side going up, manipulation out of the range, manipulation out of that channel, and then, yeah, that's where we are right now. So we'll see what's going to happen. We are going into the weekend. Be careful. Things have been really sharp this week, so it's best to have some dry powder on the side, just in case you find an opportunity to get in. So far, we are looking kind of grim, but yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see if we get a little bit of a relief today. If not, then for sure, I'm thinking next week we'll get some more. Well, hopefully next week we get some upside, right? So this is the area to pay attention to. Great. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.